Just with the firearm, I ask you, here in Czech Republic, we have something that is called utmost distress or something like that. It basically uh, makes it legal that you can break almost any laws because you are in absolute distress. It would be, for example, most often it's used when people are breaking traffic rules when they're driving their sick kid to a hospital. But it wasn't tested yet, but there's a theory that it could be used if somebody, for example, you would have a movie scenario where somebody kidnaps your kid and they threaten, unless you assassinate a president, like we will kill your kid. In which case it should be basically legal to assassinate the president. You would then not be tried for that. And so basically where I'm going with this is that Chrystul could have maybe gotten the firearm, even though it is illegal and stuff like that, but she could claim this basically utmost distress because Mr. Waller was quite potentially abusing her, trafficking her, etc. He was maybe threatening her life. Well, he got reported to the police. They gathered loads of evidence against him, yet they let him go. Well, what I will do? Well, I will get a firearm in order to protect myself. That would be fully legal, I must say, in the Czech Republic.
Well, there's a couple of things that we have in this country. One is essentially innocent by reason of insanity. Yeah. And for example, a perfectly good case was the burning bed case. And that was where a woman who was habitually beaten the hell out of for a long period of time by her husband set fire to his bed when he was asleep.
Yeah.
And a lot of people misunderstand, and they thought that she was found not guilty because there was some law or a new law that was created to, allow that kind of behavior. That's simply not the case. She was found innocent by reason of insanity. So ultimately, she committed a crime. No one's saying it wasn't a crime, but they're just saying that the mitigating circumstance here was that she just had no idea what she was doing.
But I meant just with the gun charge itself, like not necessarily with if she would be found, that it was self-defense, then the gun charge, in my opinion, should be basically scrubbed away.
Right, and there's another one called coercion. So there is a coercion statement in Wisconsin that does give you what they call an affirmative defense. If there was an adequate amount of coercion, and that would cover the case like robbing a bank for somebody because they have one of your loved ones hostage or something like that. Her problem is the concept of imminence, and that is that there was a time delay between when she felt this threat and when she took action. And that could lead to what they call a imperfect self-defense, but that would just lower the charge down to second-degree murder. So if they find that everything about self-defense is adequate except for the imminence deal, so she didn't. You can't take out preemptive strikes on people. So I feel this person's going to kill me. I'm going to get them first, and you just can't do that. But it does lower the charge down to a second-degree case. She's facing first-degree intentional homicide, and if I'm the attorney, I think I'd be arguing that she shouldn't even be charged for that. It should be for second-degree. And now let's go up and we'll plead our case. And it might go to that. It's still early on in the game here, but again, imminence. They're going to be able to argue that whatever threat you were under, whatever threat you were under, you took quite a while to take care of it, and you could have avoided it. I don't know. I mean, again, I think the defense is going to have to play on the emotions of the jury a lot in this case.
Yeah, definitely. But there's one thing that could play into her hand, and that, as far as I know, that he hooked her up on some drugs. Basically, he made her either addicted or something like that. So they could, to a degree, claim, I don't know how good of a defense it would be legally, but because she was underage, and drugs have very, very strong influence on underage people, that she was basically addicted, and she was having withdrawal symptoms, etc. And she, for example, wanted to see him because of that. Then he attacked her, stuff like that.
Well, she will have to have some sort of explanation as to why she went over
Yeah.
there, and that would be a really good one. I mean, he got me addicted to drugs. I had to go over there. I was needing a fix, and
Yeah.
okay, that's not a problem. The problem was putting the gun in the purse. And again, if she habitually carried that gun with her all the time, that would be better than if she didn't. If she put that gun in that purse for that occasion, that doesn't look good. That shows premeditation, and that could be a problem for her. I mean, when I first heard about this story and I first read the first reports, I was really on her side. I was just thinking, gosh, I can imagine what she was going through. And of course, if he was raping her, hey, you know what? One less rapist, right? But the more I'm learning about this, I'm just kind of having my doubts a little. I mean, whether she's going to be able to pull this off.
Yeah. I must say, one of the, let's say, stranger things that was, for example, the selfie that she took right after with the caption of my mugshot. Actually, there's a precedent for it with people killing, like somebody who they perceive it was righteous killing, for example, in self-defense, or their abuser. For example, abused wives sometimes actually it must be some psychological thing. I cannot explain it, but they sometimes take a trophy from like the body, or humiliate like the abuser in some way. So there's a certain precedent for that. And again, I cannot put myself in her situation, just both mentally and just also with the drug addiction, all of that, the stress, and possibly if he was truly like attacking her and stuff like that, or at least she perceived that he was attacking her and he was her real abuser and everything like that, like just the also euphoria of the relief, basically getting rid of him and stuff like that, all that mixed together, and she's also young, so that could honestly lead to some strange behavior that could be basically innocent, if you know.
Yeah, and I'm more than willing to entertain that argument, because I go along with that. Her youth is something that has to be taken into account, and the fact that she is under let's say a very unusual situation with a relationship with an older man. Her family background is horrendous.
Yeah.
And that also has to be taken into account. Now, those look like more like mitigating circumstances and to take into account during sentencing. Now, the drug use could come into play in a sort of a temporary insanity deal. That because I'm under such drugs, I really wasn't in control of what I was doing. I could fully understand that. I'm willing, more than as a juror, I would be more than willing to entertain that argument. So the one of the problems I have, though, is, and going back to the Kyle Rittenhouse thing, is the hypocrisy in it, in that when it comes to her, they're going to be bending over backwards to understand what it must have been like to be in such a stressful situation. To be attacked by somebody and living in with that kind of situation. And so they're going to be talking about, the mental state of mind. But when it comes to Kyle, though, why didn't he call 911? Well, people under high stress, they sometimes call their best friends, and they call their spouses. My own wife called me one time, said that she felt that there was an intruder. And I'm thinking, why are you calling me? I'm not even home. Call the police.
Yeah.
I can't do anything about it. But when you have high stress, people call the ones that they want to hear a comforting voice. But so what you're going to find is, when it comes to Kyle, they're going to, bend over backwards to look at this thing from a purely logical standpoint, as if he should have been the most clear thinking person on the planet. But when it comes to her, it's going to be completely different. Frankly, I think both of them deserve a lot of benefit of the doubt when it comes to the emotion side, the human factor here. Young, under intense pressure and strain, and people do things. I tell you right now, there are things I did back when I was 17. I still drink to forget about them, And just there, I really wished I could go back in time.
Yeah.
So I fully understand why a kid would take a rifle over to do protect property stuff. I fully understand why somebody would do that.
Oh, I would
And
do that too,
I think understand why she would go to Randall Volar's house if she had such a horrible relationship with him. I think I could do that.
Yeah.
And that's all I ask is people to at least consider these arguments.
Yeah.
But when the politics gets involved, that's it all
that
changes.
flies out of the window. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, also with how she said the fire to the property and tried to basically burn his body, presumably and trying to destroy the evidence. I would also they could go with the defense that again she was young, maybe under the drug influence, and because she was bombarded from the media by how police in the United States mistreats black people, etc., etc., etc. That she simply didn't have any trust in the justice system, and she basically panicked. Again, maybe temporary insanity also on that part could be.
I would go for a different approach on that. I would say, look, the house and him embodied all that she remembered.
That's a good one.
And this was a natural way to just get rid of the memory. And I would push for that. And I would understand that. I'd say,
yeah,
I get it. I mean, how many times do people throw away things that remind them of stuff, perfectly good things, and they set fire to them because they're trying to get rid of the memories and stuff like that. And yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
I think realistically, I really think that she was probably just trying to hide the evidence. I mean, get deep down. I don't think that that's what it was, but I could certainly understand her argument for that.
Yeah.
And they have to prove that didn't happen like that, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know. Sorry about it. I got Tinker noise going above here. Tinker Air Force Base is a Air Force base here in Oklahoma. And so, yeah, I could see those arguments. Would I be willing to, would I buy into them? I don't know. It kind of depends on what evidence there is.